Chapter 1. Washed ashore in the East Blue. The sun hung low over the horizon, casting molten gold across the endless stretch of ocean. Gulls called in the distance, their cries barely audible over the rhythm of waves slapping gently against a remote, palm-lined shore. The air was warm, tinged with salt, and the world felt strangely alive. Ren Takashi's eyes fluttered open slowly. His head throbbed, his back ached, and he could feel sand clinging to every part of him. Groaning, he turned over and spat out a mouthful of seawater. The sky above was a brilliant blue, but it took several seconds for his mind to catch up with what he was seeing. He blinked. Once. Twice. Where the hell am I? He muttered. He pushed himself up to a sitting position, taking in his surroundings. Palm trees rustled gently nearby. Crabs scurried away from him like he was a monster. It was tropical, too tropical. Then it hit him. This wasn't the beach near his city. This wasn't even his world. As he struggled to his feet, a sudden ding echoed in his mind. Sharp, clear, and unmistakably artificial. System activated. Welcome, Ren Takashi. You have been selected as a bearer of the Anime Essence System. World One Piece, East Blue Region. Initial status. Washed ashore, unknown island, no known affiliation. First role, Shadow Clone Jutsu, Naruto, beginner level. Skill ready for use. Ren froze. No way, he whispered. This has to be a dream. He slapped his own cheek, hard, then again. The sting was real. So was the warmth of the sun, the grainy sand beneath his bare feet, the hunger gnawing in his gut. This wasn't a dream. He had read hundreds of fanfics like this. A random guy, usually someone way less competent than a real protagonist, ends up getting thrown into a dangerous world with a cheat system. Sometimes it was the Naruto world, sometimes Bleach, sometimes One Piece. But this was real, and now it was his turn. Ren took a deep breath and checked his clothes. A torn hoodie, jeans, no shoes. He looked like an absolute wreck. I got isekai'd into One Piece with a system. This is insane, he murmured, half laughing. Then another ding sounded. Would you like to open your starter status panel? Yes. Name, Ren Takashi. Age, 18. World One Piece. Location, East Blue, Uncharted Island. Abilities, Shadow Clone, Jutsu, Beginner. Inventory, none haki. Locked system points, 0. No inventory, huh? Great, he muttered. But then he grinned. It was absurd but thrilling. Shadow Clone Jutsu? It was one of the coolest powers in Naruto. And if it worked anything like the original, he stepped back and formed the hand signs. Shadow Clone Jutsu! A cloud of smoke burst beside him, and a second Ren appeared. A perfect copy, blinking, confused, and then smirking just like him. Holy sh! Before he could finish, the clone gave him a thumbs up. Then it walked into a tree. Definitely beginner level, he muttered. But it worked. It actually worked. He had powers. He was in One Piece. And somewhere out there were Luffy, Zoro, Nami, Sanji, maybe even Shanks or Mihawk. And let's not forget, the Marines, the warlords, and every lunatic pirate who would kill for fun. He needed to get stronger. Fast. Over the next 2 hours, Ren scavenged the beach and nearby jungle. He found wild fruit, barely edible, and a small spring where he could drink. The island was small, maybe just a few kilometers across. No signs of humans, but there were wild pigs and large birds he didn't recognize. A jungle version of East Blue's fauna, maybe? He used the Shadow Clone Jutsu 3 more times before his chakra, or whatever the equivalent was, gave out. Each time the clones got better. One even managed to climb a tree and scout. Okay, he said, sitting against a tree. I need a plan. I can't just sit here forever. The system beeped again. System quest activated. Leave the island reward. 100 SP, system points. Random anime skill. Roll hint. A boat is nearby. Not safe. Proceed with caution. A boat? He said aloud. Why wouldn't it be safe? Suddenly, a gunshot echoed from the northern beach. Ren's eyes widened. Guess I'm not alone after all. He summoned a clone. Go check it out. The clone nodded and sprinted off through the underbrush. Ren waited. 10 minutes passed. Then, a pop. The clone disappeared, and with it, memories flowed into Ren's mind. There was a small ship docked on the shore. 3 rough-looking men, pirates clearly, armed with guns and swords, laughing, drinking. One of them had a bounty poster with him. They weren't big-time players, just low-level thugs. But still, pirates. Ren's heart raced. They've got a boat, he muttered. If I can sneak in, knock one out, steal the ship. Or he could talk. Maybe lie, pretend he's a shipwrecked kid. But this was One Piece. Pirates didn't care about strangers, not unless they could use or kill them. He stood and dusted himself off. Time to see what this world really had in store for him. With the sun dipping below the trees, casting long shadows through the jungle, Ren Takashi prepared to face his first real test. End of Chapter 1.
Reborn in One Piece with the Anime Essence System. Chapter 2, The Devil's Fruit and the Unexpected System Update. The salty breeze rolled across the docks of Orange Town as Kaido sat on the edge of the wooden pier, legs dangling over the water, his mind spinning with possibilities. Yesterday still felt like a dream. Being reborn in the world of One Piece had hit him like a cannonball. One moment, he was binging anime in his cluttered bedroom, yelling at Luffy to stop rushing in like an idiot. The next, he was a 15-year-old orphan with a scar on his chest and no real memories, except, of course, his complete knowledge of the entire One Piece universe and the strange system in his head. The Anime Essence System. It had appeared to him in a flash of light yesterday after he helped an old lady fend off some minor thugs. She'd handed him a dirty fruit wrapped in cloth, something that looked suspiciously like a devil fruit. System notification. A new source of courage has been detected. Anime Essence System Awakening. Analyzing host. Sync complete. Since then, everything had changed. The fruit was called the Hana Hana no Mi, Robin's devil fruit. Not the strongest, but definitely not weak. The system hadn't just let him eat it, it allowed him to upgrade it. Skill unlocked, evolved Hana Hana, Phantom Bloom. You can now summon limbs in a ghostly state. Intangible for defense. Solid for offense. Range extended to 100 meters. Upgradable. Kaido had stared at his hands like he was seeing them for the first time. He clenched his fists, and with a thought, 10 spectral arms bloomed from the ground, twirling and punching the air. He had power now. Not overpowered, not broken. But just enough. And most of all, he had potential. Now. Kaido. A voice snapped him out of thought. It was Rin, a local girl his age who worked at a blacksmith's shop nearby. She jogged up to him, sweat dripping from her brow. You spacing out again? Mayor wants to see you. Something about pirates heading this way. Pirates? Kaido stood, brushing dust off his pants. How many? About 8 guys. Minor crew. No Jolly Roger anyone recognizes. He smiled. Time to test the system for real. Minutes later, Orange Town Square. The pirates were already stomping through the town like they owned it. One of them kicked over a fruit cart, laughing as he bit into an apple. Where's your tribute, peasants? The leader barked. Pay up or we burn this dump. The townspeople cowered, all except Kaido. He stepped out of the crowd, hands in pockets. His system buzzed. System notification. Minor threat detected. Unlock suggestion, Anime Essence, Uchiha Reflex LV 1-inch effect, slight prediction of enemy movement. Enhanced vision. Short. Duration. Cooldown, 5 minutes. Kaido whispered, activate. His eyes sharpened. Every twitch the pirate made, Kaido could predict it a half second before it happened. He moved like lightning. One ghostly arm erupted from the ground, uppercutting a pirate into the air. Another disarmed the one beside him. The crowd gasped as the ghostly limbs danced through the air like something out of a horror movie. The leader charged, sword drawn. Kaido spun and materialized a dozen arms mid-air, all converging to grab, twist, and slam him into the dirt. It was over in less than a minute. System notification. Victory achieved. Reward, 100 system points. New anime essence unlocked, One Punch Man, basic combat flow, you now understand basic striking rhythm, combos, and footwork. Reaction speed increased slightly. The mayor rushed over. Young man, who are you? Kaido smiled slightly. Just someone who hates bullies. Rin stared at him, awe in her eyes. That was insane. Are you a devil fruit user? Something like that, Kaido replied. I've got a long way to go. He turned toward the sea. His journey had just begun. But deep in the corners of his system interface, something was pulsing, like an egg. A locked feature labeled Essence Merge. A mystery for another time. To be continued.
Chapter 3, First Steps into the Grand Line. The morning sun broke over the ocean, scattering gold across the waves. The salty wind carried the faint cries of gulls and the rhythmic creak of the small merchant ship I'd hitched a ride on. My journey into the real chaos of the One Piece world was just beginning. I leaned against the railing, looking at the endless blue. System status check. Host status name. Riku host power source. Anime essence system active skills. Observation focus Haikyuu. Inspired. Increases reaction speed and environmental awareness by 40%. Spirit gauge bleach inspired. Spiritual pressure detection and intimidation passive buffs. Physical strength plus 15%. Endurance plus 10%. Still modest, I muttered, but enough to handle a few small fries. Notice new daily quest available. Objective, help the crew fend off incoming danger. Reward, random anime skill unlock basic tier. Before I could ask what danger, a shout came from the crow's nest. Ship, port side, it's flying a black flag. A pirate crew. The merchant sailors scrambled. Some grabbed cutlasses, others loaded small cannons. The ship approaching wasn't massive, maybe a 20-man crew, but the skull and bones emblem meant they weren't here to trade recipes. One of the merchant crew, a burly guy named Joran, looked pale. That's the Iron Fang pirates. They rob, sink, and leave no survivors. Good thing I'm here then, I said with a grin. The attack. The pirate ship pulled alongside, ropes flying over as scruffy men swung across with blades and pistols. Their captain, a tall man with a jagged scar across his nose, bellowed, "Drop your goods and live." I stepped forward before the merchants could answer. Nah, I was hopping for some exercise today. The pirates laughed. One lunged at me, swinging a cutlass, but with my observation focus, his movements looked sluggish. I sidestepped, caught his wrist, and threw him overboard with a satisfying splash. Another came at me from behind. I didn't even look, just shifted my weight, elbowed him in the stomach, and let him collapse. Spirit gauge activated. Nearby weaker enemies are intimidated. A faint blue aura flickered around me. Some pirates froze, their weapons trembling. Even their captain faltered for a second. "Who the hell are you?" he barked. I cracked my knuckles, just a traveler with a hobby. The captain fight. The captain was faster, stronger than his men. His cutlass moves were sharp, probably had some bounty to his name. Our blades clashed, sparks flying. I was holding my own, but I needed something extra. System notice, random anime skill unlocked. Partial armament hardening, My Hero Academia / Kirishima inspired. A crimson, rock-like armor coated my forearm just as the captain tried to slash at me. His blade bounced off harmlessly. "Your turn," I said, and punched him square in the jaw. The hardened blow sent him flying back into his own crew. Seeing their leader down, the rest scrambled to retreat. The merchant sailors cheered, but I just shook my head. These seas were only going to get crazier. That night I sat at the ship's bow, the stars glittering above. The system's voice echoed in my head. Daily quest complete, reward acquired, partial armament hardening upgradable. Host progress, 2.7% toward next major unlock. Grand line, here I come, I murmured. To be continue. End chapter of 3.